Hey guys, cool. Back. This is part 3, the final little piece or series, end to the series, the mini series of clicking with Defined Image Recognition Wizard. In the very last video prior to this one, I'll bring up the code. We just went through and kind of, explored how to do iteration with the repeat function. That allows you to actually systematically loop through. I might as well just run this macro so you can see it. With this very little code, it actually allows me to loop through and do all the clicking I need. So I'm just going to run it. And what it does for us is actually it finds the screen and does a right click all the way up and down. Let's watch that. So it found all the checkboxes that I wanted to click on and did it for me in one quick step, right? Now, let's say that I wanted to be a little more systematic. Like I didn't want to click on all these guys. Let's say I wanted to keep some open, a couple pieces like that. What if I had to do something like that? And do I have to go back to listing each checkbox that I want to click on with the move mouse? And the answer is no. Actually, I'm going to show you a quick way to actually build our own function with this code we already have. Just a little modification here. So let's go to it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out all that repeat stuff. Okay, what I'm going to do down here is go and actually type in my code for a subroutine, and that is a start. You do start and say I don't know, check box clicker. If I hit return now, the actually macro scheduler itself, it actually built an end to my subroutine. So this is the subroutine, this is the end. I'm going to go ahead and paste in my code. I'm a big copy and paste guy because everybody now knows I can't spell. And I'm actually going to use most of this code and just do a few modifications. Okay, so what are the modifications? Well, for instance, I'm going to do two things really quick here, just so it's easier to read. You don't necessarily have to do it like this. You can make it much cooler. But I'm going to assign some variables for us. Let me make it consistent, again with the copy and paste. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign a start and a stop, right? So first I'm going to, let me start with the start. I always have to be backwards, don't I? And I'm going to end with the stop, okay? So I'm going to let start get assigned. Now what should I get it be assigned? Well, let me show you something if you didn't know. The way we actually use a subroutine is we have to call it. So to call it, you would say go sub, okay? So in this case, now if I find any checkboxes on screen, what I want to do is actually go to a subroutine and do something, right? So what I'm going to do is actually open up a clean version of the window I want to test with, okay? And what subroutine do I want to go to? Well, I want to go to subroutine I just created, which is called checkbox clicker. Okay, checkbox clicker. And the cool thing is you could actually pass in values to your subroutine, and you do that by putting comments here. Now notice I put nothing in there, but what I want to show you is that you'll see something get passed in. Now watch this. Let's put in another breakpoint right before we go to the subroutine. Everything's on screen, good. Okay, this should work. So I'm going to run it, and the macro is going to stop right on that breakpoint before we go to the subroutine. Alright, so what is it going to do? Now I'm going to use the F8 key to move over to the subroutine, and what I want to do is show you, okay, in this watch list, because I had two commas, that represents the two values that I'm going to pass in. They're going to be my start and stop value. Now what happened here? Macro scheduler with the subroutine automatically built two variables for me because I had those two commas for those values. Now there's nothing in them now, but we're going to put something in there. But what I wanted you to notice is that I'm actually going to copy this guy, copy, not the value, hold on, copy the line, and put it right here, right? I'm going to stop, and I'm going to actually assign it to this first piece right here, right? I want the start to be checkbox clicker variable underscore 1. And I'm going to put this guy in parentheses, percent sign, so I know it's a variable and it works. And I'm going to stop it on, guess what, variable 2. So I'm going to give it a value, a numeric value for where to start and stop, right? So now I have my variable 1 and 2. My start is going to be the first thing I pass to it, and my stop is going to be the one I end off. So let's say, for instance, that I wanted to click on, I don't know, through to 7. I would put 2 over here, and then 7. And what would happen is it would go to the subroutine and start doing something. So what do? Well, as you notice, I'm counting down, if you remember from the repeat. So what I want to do here is actually let the stop equal I. I don't need to subtract anything over here because we already took care of that by explicitly telling it where to stop. There's no magic stops, right? And I wanted to repeat I until it gets down to I when it's less than the start. Okay, I'm counting down until I pass the starting point. So this should be it, until I is less than the start. Okay, I'll save it. Now if this doesn't work, it doesn't work, but it should work. I'm going to delete the breakpoint, and that's our subroutine. So right now it should find something on screen, check boxes, get that list, and then go and click off. Let's put some notes here. Click off check boxes, number 2 through 7, or something like that. Okay, I'll save this guy. So 2 to 7. You know what I do? There is something I should do actually. To get checkboxes through to 7, I forgot. I should actually subtract 1 from both of these guys. So sub. I'm just going to build it in here because, you know what? It gets a little funny. This is the array math that is just a pain to remember. So I'm going to take care of this for us so we don't have to do the math outside. Right? That's what you would want to do. You would want to subtract 1 from both the start and the stop. And now you're ready to rock. So I evened these guys out, and I adjusted them so they actually fit through what we're going to be dealing with here. Okay. So let's go and save this guy. Let's run it. Boom, 2 to 7. But of course I started at the bottom and worked my way up. Now, if you were asking yourself, hey, why'd you have to go and subtract something like from 2 to 7? Well, if you remember well, what's going to happen is when it gets to 7, this 7 is actually represented by, in the Y array, let's just recap a little bit. See, this one starts at 0 counting up. So the 7th position is actually represented by the number 6. So to get there, I would subtract 1 from 7. I got 6, and I'm good to go. And then I want to just move my way up. So I want to do 7 down from there. I want to do how many? 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to do 6 down from there. So I want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, that makes sense because 2 minus 1 is actually 1, and that's how we get to this guy. All right, so what's cool about that? Well, I could do some more stuff. Like, let's say I wanted to do just a couple other guys. I'm going to modify this code. Click on 13 because I love the number 13. So I'm going to put that instead of 2 to 7. It should be 13 to 13. Then number 14 through 19. So same thing, but now 14 through 19. Okay, and then finally, what the heck? 23. Let's say 23 through 36. 36, just like that. So 23 through 36. Okay, and I want to make sure this is clean. Okay, so I have my blank screen. I've got these guys right here. Okay, this is just dumb. What was I thinking? Finally, do click 23 to 36. All right, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Don't even know. So that's a couple of different things, right? Let's see if it works. So I'll save this guy. We could actually, this is actually what's happening here. We're going to click on 2 to 7, 13, because my start and end is 13, 14 through 19, and 23 to 36. So let's rock and roll. All right. So does it look like it did it? Yep. 13, 14, because well, that was kind of dumb. I should have skipped one between 13 and 14 so we could see something else. But I mean, it's just the power of the subroutine. Oh, one thing is, if you wanted to do like flip switches, like let's say I wanted to do this big pair, but then I said to myself, hey, you know what, 28 and 29, I want to actually flip around. So they're, they're actually opened up, but this is the lazy way of doing it. So I'm going to invert. I'm actually going to invert everything. I'm too lazy to actually clear these guys off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reopen this guy. So I want to show you that by using the image, find image position first and recording all those positions. 28 and 29. I could actually use it to my advantage and do some inverse. So this is an inverse click. Negative clicking. Okay. Save it, run it. Now you see that by clicking again 28 and 29, I flip them back to being blank. So you could get pretty creative with what you want to do, and it's all done in that subroutine. So there wasn't much to the subroutine. The takeaways is how to actually build up a subroutine. A subroutine is encapsulated by a start and end, and it has a name. It could have its own variables, and the variable is basically the subroutine name underscore var underscore 1, 2, 3, and that depends on where it falls in after the comma. So if you use a go sub to go to a subroutine, right, you give it, the go sub just needs the name, and then you tell it what variables you're giving it by commas, you know, and you could have a bunch of them. I could have a bunch more, and some that aren't even used. These guys will be created var like 3, 4, and 5, but it'll be empty if I don't pass anything to it. And moreover, if I don't use them at all in the code, in the subroutine, they're just going to be useless. But that's how it works. So you could actually pass it some values and then actually interact with it from the subroutine. Okay. And basically I took what I had done before and modified it a little bit to be a little more useful for allowing gaps instead of only having one way of doing a click, which was great in one situation but maybe not perfect for every other situation. This is a more usable bit of code that I can maybe use somewhere else where there are checkboxes. I just tell it where to stop and start depending on how many it finds on the screen. So it's pretty cool. Okay, I hope you learned something great there. Go out and conquer.